You're now listening to Durian Asean, the voice of discovery and sharing.
Welcome to episode 5 of Inspired right here at Durian Asean with me, Junsern, and Vanda and Catherine.
Hi, Junsern. Hi, Catherine.
Hi, Junsern. Hi, Vanda.
All right, for those of you who are joining us for the first time today, Inspired is a show where we share tips and strategies in the area of social media marketing, digital marketing, as well as talent development. And if you have any questions you want to ask us or any comments you want to make, you can certainly drop a comment on our Facebook page and we will try to answer your questions on our next show. Well, today we have two very interesting topics. I wonder what will you be sharing with us today?
I'll be sharing no specific topics, but I will be sharing things, some findings that I find quite alarming, which I find during my past 2 classes. And so I think it's worthwhile to bring out these matters because a lot of people don't know.
So you're keeping it a mystery first. We're going to reveal in a while. Okay. And Catherine, what will you be sharing with us on the second half of the show today?
Today, I will share with all of our audience how to prepare the best case study in our presentation.
All right. Very good. Okay. So let's just move back to the mysterious Wanda. What is the mysterious topic or area she wants to touch on today?
Oh, yes. Okay, this is about my findings. For last few classes when I conducted my Facebook marketing class, and at first, for me, I thought the matters is not that big, but for the last 2 classes, the matters keep coming back. So it give me something that I find that maybe something is going on, something not right is going on. Okay, the first thing which I found out is these people when I'm training into Facebook Pixel. Okay, let me explain a little bit on what is this Facebook Pixel. Facebook Pixel, in fact, is a code or is a script, something like a programming code, where you install on your website in the header part. Where you get your web developer to put in for you, or if you know, you can also put in yourself. So what this Facebook Pixel doing is to track your visitor movement when they come to your website, and you can actually track how many visitors you have, what is the visitor doing. You can also track for you to track your conversion. Let's say you are e-commerce, so you want to track how many already purchased, type of things. Many people confuse it with Google Analytics. Okay, Google Analytics can do for the web traffic the same thing, but it doesn't link back to Facebook. Facebook Pixel, when we put the pixel on the website, what we want to do is to track our Facebook advertisement. So when we do a Facebook campaign, Facebook ads, we want to know that it brings how many conversion for me. That is one way. Another one very useful for Facebook Pixel is to do custom audience, which means we can do remarketing. So what I can do is if I put a Facebook Pixel on my website, I can inform Facebook that on my ads account, saying that target for me the visitors that visit my website for the past 365 days or the past 180 days. So what this Facebook Pixel doing is to collect those audience. So if I have a heavy traffic website, in a while the system will return to me that you have 108, you got 1,800 or 2,000 visitors for the past 30 days, for example, and I can retarget back my visitors. So if you notice, once you go to certain website and visit, right, you will see Facebook advertisement follow you from that same company. Do you realize that, Junsern? Catherine?
Yeah. Actually, it does. Actually, I always wonder how did that happen, actually.
Yes, just try to go to 11th Street or Zalora or Lazada. I bet after you go to go to your Facebook, you will see the advertisement from those companies following you. So they actually have Facebook Pixel tracking their web visitors' movement. Yeah, and they follow you. And you can set need to follow you for how many days. It may be 7 days, maybe 14 days.
So the thing is, if I'm a user, I would not know that they are tracking me.
You will not know.
Wow, that's
Unless
scary.
you learn that. You learn the Facebook marketing. Then you know, oh yes, that's how I got the advertisement. But a lot of people, they don't know. They just thought it's a random ads, right? But this is a form of remarketing.
Yeah, recently I searched online about kids sofa, camera, and the Singapore hotel. So after that, I realized that the ads, similar ads, keep coming back. Well, at whatever like website I go to, it will jump out. I think I already know the information of Singapore hotel, but it still come back to us.
Yes. So that is where our movement all are being tracked. Be it Facebook, be it Google, they all have the capability to track you everywhere. So there's no secret, okay? But back to the matters, why I'm talking about this is, when during the class, I was like training my students to check whether their website is being installed with Pixel. So I just show them. Actually, my purpose is to let them know, hey, whether you want to know you are doing your Facebook marketing at what level and your competitors. So it's good to know if your competitors are already putting in Pixel, meaning they are already at the stage of doing remarketing, and you yourself do not have any Pixel yet. You have to work on that, because otherwise you'll be lose out. You're not doing remarketing, right? So I will give them to install a tool. The tool name is called FB Pixel Helper.
Okay.
It's just a Chrome extension. So if you use Google Chrome web browser, you can install from the web store. It's called FB Pixel Helper. So it's good to have this extension installed, so that when you go to certain website, you will know whether the website is already been installed with Facebook Pixel. Okay, so the story is, when they start to investigate their website, they suddenly realize that their website will be installed with Pixel. Two of them, two companies. And the strange thing is, they didn't install. They didn't know. The person who come and do the...
So this Facebook Pixel, you have to personally install it. It doesn't like have any auto install, or it doesn't come with Chrome or something, right?
No. Facebook Pixel is actually every ads account will come with a Facebook Pixel code. So let's say you have a Facebook advertisement account that you buy advertisement through your Facebook ads, right? And you can create a pixel that tag to the Facebook ads account and put on your website. So when you buy any ads, you can target back the code that you put on the website. And normally it's, you ask your web developer to put, if you don't know where to insert that, the person who create your website will know where, because there is an instruction given. Or you can put in yourself if you know how to develop a website, right? But in the strange case is, last 2 months I actually have the same issue. There's someone telling me, we found a few pixel on the company's website, but that person telling me she's not sure who installed the pixel for her.
Okay.
She will go find out, because it's only an isolated issue. So I just okay, you find out and you sort it out. That's it. But this month, when I conduct 2 trainings, one class I have one company have the same issue, and another week when I conduct training again, I have two companies, and all of these people are very strangely didn't know that who installed the Facebook Pixel.
Could it be their IT department, or are they from the IT department?
They are actually the digital marketing person.
Okay.
So, and they are the one who buying Facebook advertisement. So if they are the one who buying Facebook advertisement, obviously they will have access to their Facebook ads account. So when I check their Facebook ads account, there's no pixel created from there. So it's from where?
Who created
it and put inside there without them knowing? Okay, so I'm actually asking them. One of them actually called back the company immediately to check with their web developer. And the web developer telling them something very strange. He doesn't know as well. Okay.
Wow. That's scary.
That is very scary if the web developer also didn't know, until he actually instructed the web developer to check. Then he realized the website is actually being installed with something called Google Tag Manager.
Okay.
Okay, let me explain again. What is this Google Tag Manager? Google Tag Manager is basically like a container. Like you install the code on your website header, and then you own the Google Tag Manager accounts. where in the accounts, in the tag manager, it's like a container. You can put in your Google Analytics code. You can put in your Facebook pixel. It's like already a remote control to your website. It's like you can, the Facebook pixel appearing on the Google Tag Manager, similar like you install on the website. So meaning the person who having the account admin to the Google Tag Manager is the person supposed to be in the control of the whole website, right?
But the owner do not have.
Yes, but owner do not have. So there is something alarming. And okay, the other one is also telling me the same story. And when they go back and create a big hoo-ha in the management, and he told me that they found out someone in their company doing that without them knowing. But I do not want to pursue this issue because it's become their company matters. It can be something very serious in discipline. I mean, like, it's not my issue. So I do not want to tell which company. But for me, what is the danger that if you hire a web development company and maybe the boss of the company doesn't know about this thing happen, and one of their staff quietly putting in a code there, either a Google Tag Manager or a Facebook pixel.
So with all the information that they have, they can actually take it and sell it to competitors.
They
and so
can do a remarketing to the web audience. Okay, let's say you own a very good e-commerce, right? All your web visitors is all the customer you have that people were willing to spend money to buy things on your website. Very valuable, right? So if I have a Facebook pixel quietly putting on your website, and I have my own e-commerce store as well, or
So I use the same database.
The same, yes.
Wow.
I can target your customer instead. I can target them. For them, they don't know. They will see my ads instead of your ads. And because you don't do the remarketing, you don't know about this Facebook pixel, right? So you don't bother. So you don't know that all the time your audience, your web visitor, was targeted by some others people's pixel. I mean, some others ads.
So basically, they're stealing your
Web visitors
database to target the same target market, but now I'm your competitor. That's why some people will say, how come my website's got not enough page visit, although we invested so much and so on.
You have enough page visit. The more visit you have, the merrier, right? But the problem is
just that
the remarketing on Facebook. So let's say the visitor went to your website already. After they go to their Facebook, they see some other people's ad instead of your ads. So they might click into it. But because they also e-commerce goer, they also will buy things. So they are very valuable as well. They're willing to spend. So I find that this is kind of, I'm not sure how you explain this, but it's kind of phenomenon that I realize that people don't really know what happened on your website. So I find that it's a good thing if you can have some checking.
How do you check?
For Facebook, like just now you install the Chrome extension. It's called Facebook Pixel Helper. For Google Tag Manager, there is something called Google Tag Assistant, I believe. Or you just Google AdWords Checker or this tool. It can help you to see whether you got any extra code inside there. And also, I suggest that when you ask a company to create a website for you, it's good that you get from another expert or consultant or any internal to just audit. Yeah, in case any unknown code happen.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you can't trust everyone also. It's just better to check sometimes,
You're better to check because there are many people with bad intention. Maybe they are very good in their technical knowledge and they try to take advantage of people who don't know how to check this, who don't know about all this technical knowledge. But it's just coincidence that I found out, like, it's very strange. It shouldn't be like, happen like people just putting in code on your website and then you didn't know anything about this.
But there are a lot of companies out there that because I've experienced or I met some people who they said, I'm not too sure about my this website thing, this internet or IT thing. I'm not too sure. I will ask my web developer to do it. Then I ask them, okay, is your in-house one? Or I said, oh no, this one we hired one company to do it for us, and they just fully rely on these web developers or these tech guys, this third-party entity. And sometimes I'm not saying them as a whole, but sometimes there are some company owners that is not, I will put it, they're not very much aware about the implications of the websites.
Yeah.
Because even some companies, they don't really see the importance of websites. I still get people who say that in this digital age, they say that, website no need lah, it doesn't work one lah. But what I see is that I told them sometimes, I say, you know what, website is your face of your company now in this modern world. And there are a lot of things you can achieve using the website, but you also have to be very careful. I think, and some of them are also very, very skeptical because they're scared this kind of thing happens, because they said, I'm not a tech expert and I may be cheated. Do you think that may be the case?
Yeah, if you're
you
not
off tangent a little bit.
Yeah, if you're not a tech expert, you can seek for the expertise. There are many good company out there.
Or you can search for Vanda. Give her a call. She'll help you to just pick through.
Or install the apps like recommended by
Yes,
you.
it's like the you go to a website called gachecker.com. So you can search through whether any unwanted Google code on your website, be it a Google Tag Manager, Google AdWords or whatever, Google Analytics. And the other one is a Facebook FB Pixel Helper. That's very good to check.
It's Pixel.
Yes.
Pixel. Okay.
Facebook Pixel Helper. So I always use that code. Whenever I install a code on a website, I use that code to verify it's been installed properly there. Yeah, because when you install, you need to check whether is it the code already there, or you ask someone to put in the code and whether that developer has put in the code for me. So I use that as a verify.
All right, we're going to be taking a short break, and coming back, we're going to continue about the implications of Facebook Pixel right here on Inspired, right here during ASEAN.
You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
Welcome back to Inspired, and just right before the break, we were talking about Facebook Pixels and how you can look up, if you're not too sure about what is it all about, you can actually ask your IT department. And earlier, Vanda was sharing with us that some of her clients didn't realize that a Facebook Pixel was already installed within the
actually
system.
It's my students when
Your
I conduct the
students,
class. Yes.
And right after that, they have no control of the thing, and they do not know who put it there. And
Yes.
the implications. What are the implications that may happen? And when they did share with us that it could be put in by a different entity or a different person to tap your
Audience. Yes.
So, what other things we have to look out for when it comes to Facebook Pixels?
Okay, this is one part, like you have to know the pixel is belong to which ads account, because obviously the pixel come from an Facebook ads account. If the ads account is internal, is your own people, then of course you need to ask what is the purpose. Why are you collecting? Putting in the pixel for what purpose, right? If it's for the company purpose, then it's fine. Otherwise, it will be something very mysterious. Why are you doing that? But if you don't know whose pixel is that, and you can't find out as well, the immediate thing you have to do is to delete, to take off that, to delete the code. Because when you delete the code, it's fine. You just tell your web developer, I don't know whose pixel is that. Can you please delete it off? And then you put in your own pixel then, right? So
actually, it's quite straightforward.
Quite straightforward. It's very easy. You just go to the back end of the web, and you can just delete off the code. Just remove it, right? And of course, just now I want to mention again, go to Google Chrome Web Store, download an extension called FB Pixel Helper. Okay, you need that. Even your own pixel, you want to know whether a pixel has been installed. So you also need to check your using that to check. And the other one is for you to track whether your website is being installed with Google Tag Manager. You can go and download another system, Chrome extension called Tag Assistant. Tag Assistant by Google. Or you go to a website called www.gachecker.com.
Is G-A
Checker.
C-H-E-C-K-E-R.
Yes, .com. And from there, you put in your website, and then the system will check for you whether you have Google Tag Manager, you have Google Analytics installed, you got Google AdWords code installed. So you can check everything there. So I think it's a good knowledge if you have this. At least you know what is going on your website. And thinking of this is not a small thing, right? It's like someone is having the control of remarket to your audience. Imagine if you have a very big very huge traffic with valuable audience, they can easily target your audience with their own advertisement. So I'm not sure why people, suddenly all this suddenly coming up. Maybe it's someone like having a very funny idea. Oh yes, I can tap into people's audience.
Especially like I mentioned there's now owners that is unaware of this kind of things, and that I can just put it in without him knowing it, and then I can just tap into their market without them knowing it also, and it's like a ninja kind of thing.
Yes, maybe it's someone's a black hat approach, so we don't know. But to me, it's something like, it's a stealing, it's hacking, it's a cybercrime, right? Yeah, talking about this cybercrime, it can be going to be more and more, because like I think we mentioned before on hackers. Hackers can do that to you as well. It might be a job from the hackers, we never know, right?
Yeah.
It can be hackers.
They could actually plant a malware inside, then after that automatically install it into your things. So,
we never know. The technology of hacking is very advanced as well.
Yeah, it's constantly, if not mistaken, it's constantly evolving, and sometimes, even those antivirus company or those other companies or even IT guys, they have to constantly update their knowledge in terms of the latest way of hacking also.
That's why whenever you see whether your OS asks you to do updates, you better updates. Yeah, some people very lazy. When they see OS update, they don't update. I always find people that do it.
Like, some people think it's not safe to update. they scare some old features will disappear, and their mobile phone may not be like so advanced to adopt the new features.
If the update is coming from the OS, from the company, let's say maybe it's from Android, it's from iOS, a lot of them is patching for the system, for security as well. So remember that nowadays hacking is so
rampant,
advanced, right? So rampant. So you really need to have this. I have another issue coming in this, but it's not with this hacking or tech or code, but it's another issue that people need to be aware. Also, because it involves some unethical act as well. Okay, I have a few cases when I conduct the trainings when they are checking their Facebook page role, under the page role, they realize that the page owner is belong to someone else instead of the company. So it is something very scary. So if you are a Durian Asean company, right, and your Facebook page, the page owner is supposed to be a Durian Asean, but suddenly the page owner becomes some other company. What would you feel that?
Scared,
Scared, right?
How come suddenly different?
It's like my company is stolen by someone else.
And during the class, I'm like checking, because when I was training, I was telling them, okay, now let's go to your Facebook page, go to setting, go under page role. So under page role, you will see all your admin, your editor, all the people who manage the page there. And there is something called page owner. If you already establish something called Facebook Business Manager, you will have the page owner there. And they are always, I think every month, they always like, I can find 1 or 2 persons suddenly find out that their page owner is belong to someone else. Yes.
But Vanda, I have one question. So this Facebook pixel only attack Facebook account, or they also attack websites? For example, back to my case, I wanted to buy a sofa for my children. So I key in the keywords kids sofa. So I found some brand. But later when I go to other website, those similar ads keep coming out. You may be interested in other brands of kids sofa. So is that legal? They show me similar ads of kids sofa for the same product.
Yes. If it is on Google, that must be a Google similar audience activities. So you are grouping in an audience. that similar audience kind of things. It's a remarketing work. Google have, Facebook also have. You found it on certain website that not under Facebook, that means must be Google Ads. It's a Google Ads, must be Google activities. So it's quite normal. It's not something wrong. This is all the...
So it's legal.
It's legal, of course. This is the wonder of remarketing. Take for Facebook. Facebook have that capability to do a lot of remarketing. We will be explaining this in more our program. I mean, the more weeks coming in.
Yeah, next week. Yeah.
So maybe so we can talk more about Facebook marketing. How wonderful is that? You can do a lot of remarketing, which people don't know, right? Using Facebook Pixel alone and how you create audience, how you get lookalike audience, all this stuff of things. So we can do that. It's a long story. But back to the Facebook page owner thing. So that's why I find that it's something very scary if you have a page and your page owner is belong to someone else. And if that person you know, most of the time they told me, this belong to my agency. I say, fine, it's belong to your agency. Can you ask them to release the page to you? And they're not supposed to own the client page. As an ethical agency, you are supposed to come in a role as agency in the page, okay? I mean, like there are many companies, the agency is very good. They just appear as an agency role. But the page owner is supposed to belong to the company. So maybe the agency not sure about the role as well. So many of the cases, they will go back and inform and the agency will release to them and they become the page owner. So this is an ideal situation. But I have one or two isolated cases where the other party refuse to release a page to you. I have one particular one. They are already in the discussion. The agency refused to release the page to them and still remain as a page owner and threaten them, if you do not give me any business, I'll still remain your page owner.
Wow.
So how you call this? How you call this?
Do we have this kind of law to regulate this kind of behavior in this electronic era? So
okay, if you do not want, because I actually searched through the Google, I want to see what type of case they call that Facebook business manager. I mean Facebook page owner dispute type of cases. There are companies that go into legal suit, because that's between them and the person who actually claimed their page. There's another way to settle it passively, which is you can start a new page. Okay, let's say Durian Asean page is unlucky, get someone to become a page owner and the person refuse to give back the page. You can start a new page, okay? And then you report to Facebook that someone else, which is the page that owned by someone else, is actually stealing your intellectual property because it's rights. You must, of course, you make sure that you own the rights. You own the rights to the brand that you use on the page that has been stolen by someone, has been taken away. So you can report to Facebook. Based on the IP rights rule, Facebook will close down that page. Yeah, so that is one way. So there are people doing that. So the other person will be he's the page owner, but because of the page is infringed, the IP rights of the new page that coming in, you are the owner. You show that you actually own the intellectual property. You have all the copyrights thing. You are the trademarks. Okay, so Facebook really will close that page down. So that's one way. But sometimes it's a bit of sad. It's because that page maybe is already like you spend a lot of money to grow the page. The page already have a substantial number of fans. And it will just close down. So sometimes people do not want to go to that extent. They think that I have spent so much money there, and they go into legal. So I'm not sure whether you spend time on doing a legal suit and also spend money as well. How worthwhile is that? You need to compare as to you start a new page and just settle this on the IP things.
So you have to actually use your own discretion and look at the overall picture.
Yes.
How are the implications? But sometimes I think it's just worth it to just close it down.
Yeah.
Because it can always be built back again, right?
I think maybe sometime later Facebook need to think if they steal other people's Facebook page or account, they may consider to blacklist those people like for 1 year or at least 6 months.
Okay, actually, one we say steal is not Facebook can control. How this person can become a page owner of your page is because you has given the permission. Nobody can simply come and claim your page or add your page into their business manager without the permission of the existing admin. If you simply add someone as admin in your page and you cannot be sure whether this person will do that to you, that is your own fault, right?
Yeah, yeah. So knowledge is very important.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's why you listen to this show, you will learn more.
Definitely.
And I think it's high time for you to go back to your own Facebook page, go under setting, go under page role, and find whether you have any role there by the name of by the name of Facebook page owner or a page owner.
Page owner.
So if you found someone as the page owner there, it must be your company name and not someone else. If you find someone else, you have to call us.
Yes, call Vanda. What's the number that they can call you on?
I think my previous Facebook account, which was stolen by someone else, I think they become the owner of my account.
Yeah,
so that's why
you have any intellectual property there? You just show them your
photos.
face.
Yeah,
you
photos.
say, this is me. Intellectual property.
But that is Facebook profile. That is not a Facebook business page.
It's not
a Facebook page.
Business. Likely, it's not business page.
Yeah, but for me in this case, it's like it tagged to something we call Facebook Business Manager, which I will explain more in our next program. That all the Facebook page must have a Facebook Business Manager nowadays as a proper way in manage your Facebook page. So when you start a Facebook Business Manager, there's a name to your business manager. Okay, normally it's your company name. So the name of the Facebook Business Manager is the one that determine your page owner's name. It's the one that become a page owner on your page.
So you have to always be aware. I mean, Facebook, a lot of people look at it as a leisure platform, it's not like a very serious platform, but there are serious implications, especially if you put your business on the Facebook platform itself. So it's good to always check. It is good to always look up. And to summarize Vanda's session today, first you have to check your Facebook pixel and FB pixel. And how do you do that again?
No, you download Facebook Pixel Helper from Chrome, from the web store, and you install that as Chrome extension. Then you go to your website, and then you will find out whether that if the extension pop up, there's a pixel there, you can see it turn color, and you have the numbers there. And when you click on the extension, you will see whether the page has been installed. The website has been installed with pixel. Okay, so that's what you need to check. Yeah,
and also to check your Facebook ownership.
Yes, that is to go to setting. Under your Facebook page, go to setting and go to page role, and then you see whether you have something called page owner. If you doesn't have page owner, it's fine. But if this is a business for you, please consider to start a Facebook Business Manager and establish a page owner as your own company, right? As a safety measurement or as a proper way of manage your Facebook page.
Business page lah.
Business page, for business.
All right, we'll be taking a short break, and coming back after the break, we will delve into the art of presentation with Catherine. And right after this on Inspired on Durian Asean, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
Welcome back to Inspired on Durian ASEAN with me, Junsern, Vanda, and Catherine. And this time for the art of presentation. Catherine will share with us the
how to develop the best case studies in your presentation.
Yes, case studies. Very interesting part. I like always. Okay. Over to you.
Okay. So for those who who are curious why we need to develop the best case studies for our presentation, I think in the session before the break, actually Vanda demonstrate to us what is case study. The purpose of case study is to show our audience a general principle. So in our discussion just now, Vanda used many case studies and examples in her presentation to show us that if you want to establish your Facebook business account, you must do it in proper way. Otherwise, you will end up doing business for other people. Yeah. So she demonstrated this case study in a very interesting way. She told us a lot of interesting stories. So many people think, why do we need to tell stories in our case study? The reason is because as human being, we like interesting things. We do not like dry subject. So that's why we need to develop a good stories in our case studies.
But I mean, you talk about case study. I mean, what's the difference compared to, for example, an example? Is it the same thing?
Okay. As I mentioned earlier, the purpose of case study is to show a general principle. Case studies can have a lot of examples, but example is only a single instant of things. Yeah, so that's the difference.
Also, you mean case study is actually an
A
entire
broader-
situation
Yeah, a broader term.
to link up with
A lot of examples.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
According to the definition given by Cambridge Dictionary, case studying is develop of information of a person, of a group, or things. So that's why case studying can have multiple examples to demonstrate a general principle.
Okay, Catherine.
Yes.
Is case study supposed also to create a story and also to give the solution as well?
As case studying show a general principle, yes, it give people solutions or it demonstrate your key message. Why do you give this case study? Because you want the case study to support your key message. Like just now, your key message was if you want to build up your Facebook business account, you must do it proper way. So this key message was supported by your interesting stories from your students.
Yes.
But how do you usually gauge what is a good case study or so on?
Okay, so we can collect the good case studies by telling our own stories or by telling other people's stories. So like the case study shared by Vanda just now, she was share the case study, the stories of her students. So that is to tell stories of other people. Yeah.
But as a presenter, right? How do you actually explain? Like you said just now, you use Vanda as an example. How do you actually gauge what case study you can use to share with your participants?
Okay. Before I touch this point, I want to explain to our audience why we can tell a great stories in our case study. The reason is because number one, story are not only limited to kids. So when many people heard the word stories, they will think, isn't that the job of a mother to tell a kid before the kid's bedtime? But actually, that is not completely true. Our adults also like stories. For example, last year in China, because I'm from China, so I know that last year in China, in total, about 772 stories were created in movie industry, because movie industry is the biggest industry that tell a lot of stories to people, and people like stories. So in total, those 772 movies create 29 billion ringgit last year. So
Wow.
each story actually worth 20 million ringgit. So that is how powerful story can be. And the ex-president of America, Obama, also once said that one of the main job of American president is to constantly tell stories to his people. So the reason that people should consider to tell great story in their case study is because number one, story is very influencing. I want to share an example with our audience. Some time ago, when you went to Hong Kong, by the way, have you visit Hong Kong before, Vanda or Junsern?
I didn't have a chance. I hear a lot. I watch a lot of Hong Kong TV and movies and drama. A lot of my friends went there and they say it's very interesting.
Yeah, they will have good experience. So some time ago, if you visit Hong Kong, you will see the cigarette package has a one sentence. The sentence was, "Smoking is harmful to your health."
That's also in Malaysia, right?
That's also in Malaysia.
They put a picture there somehow.
That's also in China. However, at that time, when they put this sentence on the package of cigarette, it didn't drop the number of smokers. The reason is because when people see this sentence, no feeling. Why no feeling? Because there are so many things that are harmful to your health. For example, stay up late to watch TV. For example, always eat McDonald's. For example, not doing exercise regularly. Right? All these things are harmful to your health. So what? So what? So later, Hong Kong government changed their strategy. They changed this sentence to smoking result in impotence. So when people see this sentence, they will visualize some pictures in their mind. That make people think twice. Do I really want to smoke? Do I really want to buy cigarettes? So that's a power of storytelling. Vanda, do you have any questions?
No, it's I'm curious to know what is the things that you want to tell us now. How can we do this more effective ways?
How can we tell a great stories more effectively in our presentation, right? So basically, we have two techniques when we are telling story to other people. The first technique is we add more vivid description in our stories. The second technique is we add some emotion to our storytelling. So just now when you share your case study of your students, you add emotion, you imitate your students' response. Oh my God, who stole my page? I don't know. I will suffer from that. So you give emotion when you share this case study. And the vivid description is you give a very very detailed description what happened to your students' account, why they didn't know, and when they come back to the management, like what was the management response. So by listening to your vivid description, we can visualize that easily in our mind. So we will remember your case study.
I see.
So is there any examples of what you mean by vivid descriptions?
Okay, I want to give a example. Since we are talking about telling a story, so now I want to share a story with our audience. So the story is like this. A 24-year-old boy seeing out from the train's window and shouted, "Dad, look at those trees. They are running behind us." The dad smiled. Nearby the son and the father, a young couple was sitting on the train as well. So the young couple looked at the dad with a pity. And suddenly, this 24-year-old son shouted again, "Dad, look at those clouds. They are running together with us." And the young couple could not resist. And they told the father, "Why don't you bring your son to a good doctor?" And the dad smiled. He said, "I did. We just come back from hospital this morning. My son was blind since his birth. Today is his first day seeing the world." So that's the end of this story. The story is very short, just 1 minute. But do you think this story is surprising? Do you think this story is interesting? Because you can see a lot of pictures. You can visualize them in your mind. And it's impactful to the audience. So that's a way we add vivid description. We add emotion in this story. But if we only tell this story in this way, a father and a son are sitting on the train. They just come back from hospital. And the son's eye just got recovered today. If we tell the story, if we tell our case study in this way, our audience will fall asleep.
Well, this you mentioned just now is the two elements, emotion and vivid description.
Yeah.
How important is it you need to understand your audience before you get a right case study?
Okay. Definitely, we need to understand our audience and understand the topic of our presentation. But the techniques I share with our audience today will suit all kinds of audience, no matter they are young, they are senior, they are women, and they are men. Yeah, when you give vivid description, you give people the opportunities to visualize something in their brain, and it become interesting. It's not dry at all. Yeah, and when you give emotion, your audience can feel your passion when you are telling this story. So your case study will become very memorable in their mind.
Then, when you say about emotion, is there any examples of how a case study with emotion being presented.
Yeah, can I just use a story I share with our audience just now? The story I told just now is actually less than 1 minute, but within this very short story, concise story, your emotion will change few times. For example, at the beginning, when our audience heard the story, a 24 years old boy say something like that. They feel it's very silly. And they become very curious. Why an adult say something very silly, childish? So they will have that curiosity. And then the young couple, they will also feel the same with our audience. So they look at the father with pity, facial expression. But later, the young boy shouted out again. He was so excited. It raised the curiosity even more from our audience. What happened to this young boy? Anything wrong with him? But when this young boy was shouting, when the young couple looked at the father with pity, the father didn't care. He didn't care at all what happened to him. And later when he gave out the truth, his son was blind since his birth. However, he still feel happy because today is the first day his son saw this word. Then the audience will feel very touched. They will know, oh, actually this is the truth. So their emotion change again. Maybe they get a lesson that everybody has their own story. We never judge others by using our own experience or by using our own perspective. So within this short 1 minute, a lot of emotion come out. Yeah.
Vanda, I mean, when you are doing your training, do you also use similar case studies also? I mean, in terms of like with vivid descriptions and emotions?
Because I find my training is sometimes very technical. So I need to really convert it to very layman term. For example, I want to explain to people what is Facebook Business Manager. I always have to make it like a very layman, draw on my flip chart. Imagine this is an office and you are the admin, you are the boss in the office, type of thing. So all this, I think is a very essential. That depends on who your target audience. You really have to speak in their term. Right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's how we make our audience awake. If we keep talking something very dry, they will fall asleep. Human beings like something very interesting. They like to watch TV, movie. Many of them are like visual people. Yeah.
All right, we're going to be taking a very short break, and when we come back, we're going to look more into the art of using best case studies in your presentation right here on Inspired.
You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
Welcome back to Inspired on Durian ASEAN. And right before the break, we were talking about how can we use the best way to best case studies to put in your presentation, and it's very important to have case studies in your presentation as well. And Catherine, she did mention that there are two areas that you have to include in your case study. And one is to make it as vivid as possible, and second is to be as emotional
as possible.
So it will not be so dry.
Yes.
Especially when you're doing a very technical presentation. So if you put in a good case study, I think it will actually lighten the whole mood up. But how do you actually get... how do you actually find case studies when you want to use for a presentation? Because some of the presenters, they will use their experience. But if just say you may have experience, but it may not be the best experience that could suit the thing. How do you usually find the best case study to include in the whole situation?
Okay. Like what I mentioned earlier, there are two kinds of stories we can make it as case study. The first kind of story is our own story. Sometimes we can use our own story to touch people's heart. The other kind of stories are other people's stories. So one thing that we can use other people's story is because other people's story may be more famous than ours. So one advantage to use stories to spread our message is because stories are easy to be remembered and easy to be understood. A lot of famous brands, they are promoted via stories. For example, Facebook. For example, KFC. For example, Apple. So all those famous brands stories can be used as a source of our case study. So, for example, if your presentation's message is, as human being, if we want to be successful, we must be persistent. You can use KFC's brand story. How many times that the owner of KFC was rejected by many other restaurants. At that time, he wanted to show his secret recipe, but he was rejected like 1,000 times by all those restaurants. So this is a famous brand story, but it can also be used as one of our case study. Another story is like why Mark Zuckerberg create Facebook. So everybody knows that. So we can also use that story to complement our presentation. For example, Apple. When we want to talk about something like everything should be simple. If we want to aim higher, we must let go of something. For example, we must let go of the time watching drama. We must let go of the time spending in gossip. So we use Apple story. Like Steve Jobs always wear a black or blue t-shirt. That is called simplicity because he aims higher. He is willing to let go something. For example, the time spending in selecting t-shirt. People rich as him, he can like have the whole world best t-shirt, but he only select that black or blue t-shirt. Yeah, so other people's story we can also use to complement our presentation.
So, I mean, coming back to the vivid and emotion, I understand that just now you did mention that you have another very interesting example of how do you use a good case study.
Yes, I want to demonstrate to our audience how a story or case study can be interesting if we add vivid description and if we add our emotion. So now I'm going to tell another story with our audience. The original story is just like this. Long time ago, there was a queen and there was a king. The queen died first and the king died later. That's all. That's a story. Without vivid description, without emotion. People who are kind like you, Junsern, you will clap. But most of the audience, if they heard story like this, case study like this, they may leave. They may leave me as a presenter.
They'll clap and then they say thank you.
You will say thank you. I don't want to see you anymore.
Me of last time when someone telling jokes, right? Telling jokes and the joke is not really appealing, and everyone is like looking at the person like. And then one person will say, ha ha ha.
Sometimes when those people, after they finish jokes, other people are still waiting. Is that all? Is that all? Anything else? Yeah. So back to my story. How do we add vivid description? So if we add some vivid description, the story can go like this. For example, still the same story lah. Long time ago, a king loves his queen very much. They had a very lovely daughter before, but the daughter died when she was very young. Since then, the king hopes that he will die before the queen, because he cannot bear with the pain of losing his beloved one anymore. But one day, the queen suddenly died, and this king's heart was broken, and he died as well. So this is a story, the second story after we add vivid description. It makes people feel interesting. They want to know more what happened between the queen and between the king. So if we add some more emotion, the story will become like this. Long time ago, a king loves his queen very much. They had a very lovely daughter before. Later, their daughter suffered from a disease and died at her early age. Since then, the king hopes he will die before the queen, because he cannot bear with the pain of losing his beloved one again. You may think his idea is silly, but this is the smartest idea he can think of. But one day morning, the queen suddenly died, and the king felt it's the end of the world. After that, he never see any sun rays in his life. And 1 month later, the king died as well. Yeah, so this is the second version if we add some emotion. So did you feel any difference like before and after? It's like a person before makeup, after makeup.
I mean, there is, of course, I mean, there is a lot of very difference. I mean, there's a big difference there, and you can see. And I have to agree with you. I mean, the first one when you just said 2 lines,
Yeah.
and then I clapped. Because
You're a very kind person.
Yes. I'm also one of those participants where, finally the training is finished, I can go home.
So-
But, I mean, I have to agree with you, but when you first add the emotions, then you feel it, but you still can't picture it.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you add both the emotion and the vivid description,
Mm-hmm.
you actually get to picture it in your
Yes.
mind, and by doing so, you can actually remember it better.
Yes, yes. Sometimes that's why after like 2 days training or even like 2 hours talk, 1 week later, people may forget everything you talk, but they still remember the story, the case study you share with them. So now I want to like share with both Junsern and Vanda. If you want to know more interesting story about this king and the queen, here is the opportunity. I'm going to tell you a like a more stronger version.
Wow. Okay.
Where I add more emotion and the more vivid description, you will
Okay.
definitely feel another movie. You will feel you are watching a movie.
This one's like you watch a movie, right? Then
Yeah.
after a few months later, they say this is the director's cut. The extra scenes are in here. All right, Catherine, take it away.
Okay. So here is a story. Long time ago, a king loved his queen very much. They had a very lovely daughter before. Her emerald eyes glistened in the bright sunlight. Her hair was dark brown, almost to the point of being black. Her pale skin was scattered with wrinkles across her small pointed nose. However, when she was 9 months old, she had a very serious disease, and she died 2 days later. Since then, the king hopes he will die before the queen, because he cannot bear with the pain of losing his beloved one anymore. You may think his idea is very silly, but this is the smartest idea he can think of. He even prepared a poisonous wine in his wardrobe, and this poisonous wine is made from the most poisonous snake in the forest. The king is prepared to drink this wine anytime when his beloved one passes away. But he has a very happy life with his queen. Sometimes, when he thinks of that wine, he will tell himself, "How silly this idea I had before." However, one day morning, the queen suddenly died, even without leaving any word to the king. The reason of her death was the same disease that her daughter suffered from. This disease is just like a curse, followed her family generation after generation. The king felt it's the end of the world. After that, he never see any sunrise in his life. In the following days, he didn't drink, he didn't eat. And finally, he thought of that wine. When he opened the wardrobe, the wine was replaced by a note left by the queen. The note said, "Please continue to live. I will love you forever." The king's heart was broken, and he finished the wine. So that's the end of the story.
Very interesting.
When you were listening to this story, can you visualize what happened in front of you?
Yep.
Yes.
It's like you are watching a movie. Yeah. So that's what make our audience remember our case study.
Especially when you want to talk about a very emotional story where you want to share with the audience, where it kind of actually connected with a lot of people, I feel. And when you listen to this kind of story, you kind of feel it. You feel that, But what's the moral of the story?
The moral of story is love can be blind. Love make people crazy. So that's why the king, as the king of the country, he will have that kind of silly idea. Yeah. Many principles we can use in our case study. Yeah, this is one of the principles.
I was just curious because we don't have a presentation, so when you say this one, okay, I need to know, okay, how can we link it up with love and emotions? Okay,
Yeah.
that's very good. So we can actually see, from what you mentioned just now, we can actually see there's a lot of very, very descriptive description from the story. And then when you were telling it, I can actually picture it very well.
Yeah.
And you can really feel it.
Yeah, and you will remember it. Maybe 1 week later, maybe 1 year later, you still remember that story which has impact on you. Yeah.
But if you're doing a very technical training, how can we include this kind of storytelling, if I put it in a way?
I love your questions. I love your questions because in reality, many of us, we are coming from a very technique background, such as Vanda, the expertise and the trainer in Facebook marketing. So I used to listen to a presentation given by my ex-company's internal audit department. You know that when people heard of internal audit, they run away. They run away. It's like police. Police is going to tell me what is wrong about my job. Who wants to liaise with internal audit department? No one. So that guy, technique guy, he gave us a presentation, and it was not very persuasive because when people know he is from internal audit department, their mind is closed, their ears are closed. So later, after his presentation, actually I chat with him because he took his initiative to ask me how can I improve my presentation. So I said, you should talk about something which are related to people or which people must be aware, they feel very familiar with. For example, before you talk about your subject, why not at the beginning of your presentation share a story which can touch people's heart, which people are familiar with? In your case, you want to tell people how important is internal audit job to their department. So why not you share a story about Titanic? Everybody know Titanic, and everybody know the loss that people suffer. Because of the audit job was not done properly, Titanic sank. And thousands of people lost their family. That is a pain. So can you relate the loss of Titanic with the loss of your people's job? They are coming from different departments, but why do they need to be audited by you? Can you relate these two stories? When you share your case study, when you share your story of Titanic, can you add some vivid description? Can you add some emotion? Let people feel you are important to them so that they won't run away from you. Yeah, people from compliance department, legal department, risk management department, internal audit department, they can use the same story. Yeah, in your case study. Yeah.
All right. To round up your session, what are the few areas that we have to look for? Again, number one, in terms of case study, what would you have to do?
We have to add a vivid description and emotion to our stories.
And we have to always try to get the best case study that could actually connect with your presentation,
Yes.
to connect with the crowd.
Yes.
All right, so it looks like we have come to the end of today's session. I'd like to thank Vanda and Catherine once again for being in this show. And for those of you who have any questions or any questions you want to know, or you want to find out how can you contact Vanda or Catherine, you can do so on our Facebook page at Duran Asean, and we will try to answer it on our next show. All right, so do stay tuned as we will bring you more interesting topics on the next episode of Inspired. I'm Junsern.
I'm Vanda.
I'm Catherine.
See you again next week. Bye.
Bye.
See you.
You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.